White people do feel like we are being boxed out.
A 26-year-old white kid doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just said
the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago.
Okay, I need y'all to sit with me on this one because I've been holding it for a minute. You ever notice black on black crime only shows up in certain contexts? Somebody brings up a cop, somebody brings up a system, somebody brings up 400 years of policy, and here comes that phrase, like a fire extinguisher, not for fire, but for the conversation. Well, what about black on black crime? Man, what about it? Here's what nobody says out loud. Almost all crime in this country is same race crime. That's not a black thing. That's an American thing. FBI's own numbers, roughly 84% of white murder victims are killed by a white person. 84, not 8. 84, and for black victims is about 88%. You ever hear anybody say, white on white crime? No. You know why? Because that's a phrase that was never built to describe a fact. It was built to end an argument. It's not data. It's a trick with a bad. And here's the part that actually explains it. It ain't culture, it ain't values, it's address. People hurt people they're close to. Same block, same school, same family. Segregation didn't go anywhere in this country. Stop putting signs on the doors. So of course, crime stays in the neighborhood. Every neighborhood in America is still basically one color deep.
Correction, my zip code is 9021 Tell. I have never once seen my neighbors.
Boy, I don't care who tell it. Now, we all know the go-to word when this topic comes up. Per capita. But researchers, not the pundits, the researchers found something like 60 to 80% of that gap comes down to poverty, disinvestment, opportunity, circumstance, not people, place, which means somewhere between 20 and 40% of that gap is just bias. It's just the system putting its thumb on the scale. And that's not me talking. That's the government's own numbers. And today, we about to go there with it. Buckle up. It's rugged talk. Y'all ready for the part that should be a national scandal? Instead, it's just a Sunday. The National Registry of Exonerations. So these are the people whose whole job is counting who got paid for something they did not do. Black Americans, 13.6% of the country, 53% of every wrong conviction they're tracked since 1989. You're about 7.5 times more likely to get wrongly convicted of a murder in this country if you're a black man. 8 times more likely for sexual assault. 19 times more likely for a drug charge. Same drug use rate across race. By the way, 19 times. That's not a system that makes mistakes. A coin makes mistakes. That's a pattern with a zip code and skin tone attached to it. And it's not just wrongful convictions. It happens on the front end. Real study. 30,000 cases. White defendants walks in. 25% more likely to get charges dropped or knocked down. Same courthouse, Philly. Prosecutors added 26% more felony charges to black defendants than white ones, with comparable facts on the page. Would you want to know what's the cleanest one? The one that no one, that it needs no interpretations, just arithmetic. Crack versus powder cocaine. Same drug, same high, different form. 1986, Congress says 5 grams of crack gets you the same sentence as 500 grams of powder. 100 to 1. And crack was, let's not pretend, that was marketed to and consumed in black communities. Powder was in the suburbs. Same chemical, 100 times the punishment for the black version. They fixed it in 2010. You know what they fixed it to? 18 to 1. They didn't close the gap. They just made the gap look reasonable. In their words.
For reference, that's roughly the same ratio as diet anything to the real thing. 18 times less satisfying, same amount of guilt.
Look, I don't know what you just said, but I felt that. Let's talk about the crimes that never get a group label. The because black on black crimes implies something about a whole community. So let's hold every community to that same bar. Let's see who survives it. So, mass shooters, the actual database, the Violence Project, tracks every public mass shooting since 1966. 57% of the shooters were white. It's close to that share of their population. I give you that. I'm not going to round it up just to make a point. But here's the study that I'll make you sit up. The same violent act, same body count. When the shooter was white, the cover says trouble, isolated, mental health struggles. When the shooter was not white, the cover says gang, thug, criminal. Same crime, different vocabulary. That's a published finding. It's not me being messy.
Smells
Now,
absolutely
the
delicious
churches.
today.
Let's go to the
So
churches.
good to see everyone.
Southern Baptist Convention. Now, this is the largest Protestant denomination in America. Investigation finds 380 leaders and volunteers accused, 700 victims, some as young as the age of 3. In 2008, survivors begged leadership for a tracking list. Leadership said, nope. Took 11 more years, 2 newspapers to force that list into existence. Sounds like another list and the same culprits. Epstein. Just kidding, but not really. The Catholic Church, John Jay report 4,392 priests accused over 10,000 victims in just a year they studied. More recent count is over 6,000 clergy. You know how many of those thousand ever got convicted? About 250. 2 of the biggest institutions on planet Earth. Decades of documents covered up at the top. And I have never, not once, heard anyone say, not one anchor, we need to talk about the crisis in the white church. We need to talk about church on church crimes.
Filing that under organized crime. Emphasis on organized.
There it is. Last one. And this one should make you the most angry because it's not over. I lived through it. Some of you lived through it. The crack epidemic. Check this out. In black communities, most urban response was war on drugs, mandatory minimums. Non-violent drug incarceration goes up to 50,000 people to 400,000 in 17 years. The opioid epidemic hits white, rural suburbia, America hardest. You know what the response was? It was a public health emergency, disease model, court-ordered rehab, compassion, task forces. They sued the pharmaceutical companies, not the patients. Same devastation, same broken families, same empty chairs at the table. One version got handcuffs, the other version got a hug and a hotline number. That's not a coincidence. It's a policy that read the room before they read the science. Now, for the big mouths that's always saying, what about Chicago, Memphis, Atlanta, Maryland? You notice they always find the blackest cities they can find. Well, let me give you a state, Alaska. Highest violent crime rate of any state in America. Not close, overwhelmingly white, rural, small towns. When the last time you heard a senator call Alaska a state in crisis? When's the last time you heard we need to send the National Guard to Anchorage? You're not. Or go to Appalachia, West Virginia. Led the country in overdose deaths for years. Whole town hollowed out. That's not a headline about white culture failure. That's a tragedy. That's a story about one family that gets named and a face. Inner city gets crime, gets statistics, gets stereotyped. Same broken system, different narrative. So if you still just please like and subscribe. Man, it's free. So look, I'm not thankful. I'm just trying to do my part in breaking this damn narrative. See, time is what happens when places run out of options, not what happens when people run out of character. The stat I gave you today says the same thing twice. Where you're born decides more than who you are. Once the system decides who gets caught, who gets charged, or who gets covered up for, that's not a justice system measuring guilt. That's a justice measuring proximity to power. When you hear someone brings up black on black crime, ask them, have you really looked at the numbers? And if not, please just shut the hell up. I'm Adrian.
And I'm Static. Thanks for watching Rugged Past.
Righteous People. I'll let you.
Breathing, that's just the start. Now I'm talking on camera about the things that matter most. Policy protection.